Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My brothers, what's going on? New episode.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are
Alaikum
you guys
assalam.
doing today?
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, we have a new brother here today, man. We have a special guest here today. One of our brothers from Antarctica. Go ahead, tell them your name, brother.
My name is Aiden.
And like, you're here because of why? Like, you're not Muslim, right? Are you curious?
Yeah.
You're curious about Islam. You know, this is a brother who's hung around us, you know, and he's seen how we are as Muslim brothers. And I guess he got curious, you know, he wants to learn more, he wants to talk, and he's here today, and we're gonna have a good discussion. So tell us what we're talking about today, brothers.
The one thing that's guaranteed in life, death. 100% guarantee, death.
What does the Quran say about death?
I mean, the Quran says a lot of things about death.
Yes, subhanAllah.
But what did we bring here today that was going to be our theme?
I mean, so we're going to be talking about what happens after death, how we spend our entire lives preparing for death, and even for those who don't believe that in life after death. You know, they think we just come here to live and we die and that's it. You know, in Surah Maryam, right? In chapter 19, verse 66, it says, mankind questions, shall I be raised again after death? And the next verse tells them, it says, does mankind now remember that we created them before when they were nothing?
Yeah, bro. It was like,
Is it not a miracle that you're here today? Like, how did you even get here?
think about it. Like, there was a time on earth where you were nowhere to be found.
Exactly.
You weren't a thing. Like, there was your experiences, everything that makes you you, it was never there. There was a one time on earth where you were non-existent.
I mean, look, they asked for proof of God's existence. I mean, the fact that you're existing right now, the fact that we're talking to you guys right now, the fact that you guys are listening to us right now is proof of God's existence. But of course, that's not enough for you. And who knows what will be enough for you? Only Allah knows best.
Find out after death.
All right,
We'll all
look,
find out after death.
What do you know about death?
What do you mean by that? Like, you talking about, like, do I believe that after death, like, what do I think is going to happen?
Yeah, like what do you think that when you die you're just dead, like it's just a black space of nothing, like a black hole?
No.
Okay, what do you believe?
I've like multiple different, I've always had multiple different thoughts about like what happens after you die. Like, I've never really thought though that it's just nothing. I've always felt like it's just like, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if it makes sense to everybody else, but to me, it makes sense. Like, so say you die and you come back, but it's not you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to describe it.
Reincarnation.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like you don't remember anything about your, like, the life that we live now.
Okay.
But you're still you come back. It's just a whole different, you're in a different body. You have a different mindset. I don't know how to describe it, but that's just how I've always thought about it.
I mean, okay, look, see, if you want to talk about reincarnation, how do you separate the amount of souls that are created then? Because if everybody's just getting put back into the same body, then how many souls are there actually? Like, that could mean there's only like a set amount of souls, but the fact that at one time there was 100 people, and now there's 7 billion living on the earth at the same time, then how do you like?
I never like actually looked into it. It was just some thoughts I've had. I just sat there and it was just a thought.
well, I mean, even in Islam, we believe that we were in a place of souls before we were put into the womb of our mother. We believe we were something else.
Well, in Islam, it tells us that every soul wanted to come to this earth, knowing that they could struggle, but knowing that if they could reach Jannah, that's what they wanted.
Of course.
But a lot of us today, we don't understand that every soul tastes death. A lot of us, we live like we can't die. We do things like there's no tomorrow, as if if you die, then you know that's it. You're good. If you Christian and you believe that you're saved by Jesus, then that's all you believe. You say once you die, you feel like you go to heaven. That's it. Other people who don't believe in like have a belief system, they're sitting there thinking there's nothing after death. They think that once you die, you're just in like in a common
and that's like a really
state.
that's like a really depressing ideology, to live to die. Like, a person who lives to die, they're not really living. Like, what if you prepared to leave behind? If everyone adopted that ideology, no one would get anything accomplished. Oh, I'm just gonna die anyway. Why do I have to do it?
Exactly.
If everyone adopted that mindset, nothing would get accomplished in this world.
Bro, not even just that. Imagine the worst of people. you feel like they're gonna have no accountability for the things that they did. Like, look, imagine the amount of people who got away with murder, stealing, killing, raping, whatever it may be, and they just die and that's it. They escaped it. They escaped jail. They escaped punishment here. And you really think, nobody's gonna hold them accountable? You really think justice is not gonna be served to those people? I truly believe
people will be held accountable.
Speaking of accountability, all right, you want to talk about people who are trash, right? All right, this is a question for all of you. I want to talk to Aiden though. So we had a discussion privately saying, would we invite Jeffrey Dahmer to Islam? Do you think the fact that Jeffrey Dahmer believes he got saved, right, because he took his baptism, do you think that would be fair if he was actually saved?
No.
Why not?
I personally don't feel like it would be safe if he if he was saved. I don't think it would be like okay at all. Like, I don't think it so because just because of what you did, and you just say that happened, right, and he just gets saved. I really don't think like that should be okay, because how do you get saved for that? Like why should y'all be able to like take him in and all this other stuff if just so he can escape it, so he feels like he can just move on from it?
I don't know, like for me from the outside looking in, it's like, he did all the crimes, but he said, I have an alibi, so like I have a way out, and there's a way for me to avoid all this punishment, all this like afterlife punishment and going to hell or whatever, because I believe in one thing. Now, see, in Islam, I wouldn't say it's just like that, because if he were to accept Islam, it doesn't say that he's not going to get punished for what he did. But it does mean that eventually he will be saved from the hellfire. Now, see, none of us are the ones who are the deciders. Yeah. That's why I feel like we separate ourselves, is because a lot of people think they've decided by themselves that they'll be able to go to heaven or they'll be able to go to hell just because they claim one belief or whatever. But see, in Islam, it's much more complex than that. Yeah, like death is simple because everybody tastes death. Every soul's gonna taste death. And the sooner you make peace with that, the easier your life will be. But a lot of us, we live too much inside this world. We live too much for the money, for the cars, for providing for our family, like having ourselves a family or whatever, even though all of this is temporary.
The delusions of this world.
Yeah. We're deluded by what the world has to offer. Even though this world it's not a paradise. It's supposed to be struggle for us. You're supposed to go through hardship. You're supposed to be tested because Allah wants to test your faith.
Yeah, it's really depressing to think that it's really depressing to think that this is all, like, for someone who only believes that there's nothing that comes after death. It's really depressing to think that this is all that we have. Like, this is it.
I mean, death is the end
of
all.
Earth, it's beautiful. It's a cool place, but like, this is it. Like, you get a woman, family, you grow old, you grow incompetent, you can't do anything.
Not even everyone gets to live to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, look, even if that's what you believed, what is hurting you from believing there's something after? There's a reward after. There's nothing hurting you. Because if it's not there and you just die, then you're fine. Okay, shoot, you got what you wanted originally. But if there is something after and you did good in this life, you believed, you were a Muslim, and you go to, you get paradise and you have the greatest reward, then how did that hurt you? How did you just believing in that and acting on those beliefs, how does that hurt you? That doesn't hurt you at all.
And the hardships that you went through here, it's not even like they're going to affect you in there. And like, when you get to paradise, you got what you wanted. There's nothing else that you want more than that. Allah over-delivers whenever he rewards people.
Okay, look, have y'all made peace with death?
Of course. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
How could you not make peace with death?
Look, okay,
it's foolish.
Yeah.
It's foolish to say, oh, I'm not made peace with death, or I'm afraid of death. Like, it's gonna happen. It's inevitable. It's gonna happen 100%. Is there any human that hasn't died, like, from all the way back then?
But listen, that's not what I'm talking about. People will say, yeah, everybody tastes death, but they don't want to die. People, if someone were to come rob us in our house right now, you know how many people, if they were in that position, would be like, no, I don't want to die. Take whatever you want. But then how many people would just sit there and be like, all right, shoot me, bro. Go ahead. Do what you got to do. I've lived my life. It's fine. If this is where Allah wrote me for me to die, then I will die. How many people would say that? No, but I can't think of at least 1% of the population that would be able to say that. But I know many people, bro. I've been talking to people and I start talking about death because you guys know how I feel about death. You guys know I know how I want to die.
Yeah, like, I understand what you're saying, but it's important to also think that it's important to also note that your life is valuable.
Exactly. Like,
You
dude,
have to value your life.
if someone comes in here trying to rob me, dude, I'm going to defend myself. You know, I'm going to try to preserve my life. But at the same time, if Allah wrote that I'm going to die right then and there, there's nothing that I can do about it. But the point is that I tried my best. And that's what Allah wants.
You have to understand. And a lot of people, like,
if you're getting robbed at gunpoint, how are you supposed to preserve your life at that point?
You do something.
beat them up.
Yeah, you gotta disarm him. You know,
How you gonna disarm a man who has a gun in your face?
Take it away from him.
Dude, do something, bro.
This is not a movie. It doesn't work like that. This is the real world, boy. Until you're in that situation, you can't speak on it. I'm just telling you, if you're in a situation where it's life or death, and you want to say, like, take whatever you want because I don't want to die, when you use that excuse, the saying, I don't want to die, or like you try to evade death any way you can, like death is gonna come no matter what. There's a point where if you're in a situation, you say, if I'm supposed to die right now, I'm gonna die. But if I'm not, then I'm not. Last episode, he said, if Allah willed it, then that's it. If he didn't decree it, then it's not it.
Hold on, allow me to interrupt you. It's like you just said, if someone would come and rob you at gunpoint, said person would, oh, no, don't take everything you want. I don't want to die. It's almost like they're afraid of what comes next. Think about it. It's almost anything but death, but it's almost, even though they know it's gonna happen, like anything but death though. It's almost like they're afraid of what comes after it. I just thought about that. That's crazy.
Aiden, have you been in a near-death experience?
Does the 320 count?
I mean,
not really. It wasn't that bad.
Okay, were you ever in a situation where your heart, like, it skipped some beats because you thought, like, this could be it?
Sometimes, yeah.
All right, so what goes through your head in a moment like that?
In that exact moment, I'm just sitting there, I'm thinking, my heart's just going, I'm just like, is this really how it ends, like, right here? Yeah. But yeah, so that's, honestly, it's just, my heart's just beating, I'm just sitting there. And I'm just thinking of all different outcomes of how this can get better, or like how I can get through it, or if it's just meant to be right there. It was only one time that ever happened. I was just like,
well, that's interesting because I know we've been in a couple ourselves. Being from Sudan, and especially being there during times of like they got these mafia wars, like these people taking over the government, taking over the country, everybody being at war. You know, there's been a couple times where we've been in a situation where we were like, oh snap, bro, it's a little surreal. I actually have one. I remember I was there, and I just started hearing bombs go off near us, like really close to us. And the first thing I did, I looked at my brother, and I was like, what the heck, bro? I thought I was in a cartoon. I was like, there's no way there's bombs going off right now. And like people are dying right now. Like my head was just like, it was in a different like dimension. I was like, okay, hold on. Like this is real. I could die. But I didn't say like, oh, it sucked to die or whatever. I was just thinking, I was low-key laughing because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what else to think. I wasn't scared. Like I wasn't sad. I wasn't mad. I was just trying to comprehend the situation, but it wasn't comprehending because like it was like the bomb noise just kept replaying over and over in my head. And it was like so tough to believe that what I saw on the news was real and that people were like losing their lives at such a rapid rate.
Yeah, bro, I remember in Sudan, bro, those times of hardship when we were protesting, bro, everyone's chanting, we're screaming, having the time of your life, and then you hear the gunshots and it's just like, bro, like it hit me. I'm like, we could die. It's like, wallahi, bro, I'm thinking this dude's about to send me to Allah and I'm about to get clapped. And it's just like it sends you like, and you try to comprehend the situation. Like that's most of the thoughts that like whenever had like a near-death experience, I just try to comprehend the situation. That's all my thoughts are. My thoughts are wandering around that, trying to comprehend.
Bro, remember when I was there with you in not even just the gunshots or whatever, but at the same time, remember I got so sick, I got food poisoning, right? And it was terrible. Like I had no medical help because clinics were closed. There was no Wi-Fi. I couldn't, call my mom, call my dad, or to just tell them what was going on. And I was really sick. Like I was just stuck there to the bed, and there was nothing I could do. And I literally thought I was like, dude, I can literally die right here. I'm not getting any medical help. I'm not getting help from anyone else. If I die right here, I die. I died in Sudan because things that were going on, everything was shut down. There was really nothing that I could do. So sitting there and I was able to make dua, alhamdulillah, I got better. You know, that was also crazy.
Yeah,
Because
that was
it's not
hard.
even just the gunshot part. You know, your health is at stake. Your wealth is at stake too. You know, you can lose all that in a second.
Look, all right, so hold on. One of the craziest things about me making peace with death, like me disconnecting myself from the desires of what this world has to offer, from everything that like, you know, could be good in this world, was the fact that I stopped fearing death for myself. I'm always, anytime I'm put in a situation and someone says, oh, you can die, or don't talk about death, or oh, don't joke about that. I'm like, bro, you may be fearful of death or whatever, but I'm not. Like, if I die, I die. Everything I do, if I die, I die. Obviously, I don't want to die like a coward. I always say, bro, if I were to die this way, oh, nah, that sucks. Oh, shoot, like, because I want to go out in a way that's honorable. I want to go out in a way that like a Muslim should go. Like the way that Allah has written for the best of people to go. You know what I'm saying? So, but then the thing with that is you get fearful of death for your others, for your loved ones, for people you love. Like you get fearful for them because you don't want to lose them while you're here. Nobody wants to lose a loved one. You don't want to, but especially now because you don't want to lose them while you're here. Because if you go, shoot, all your problems are over with. You know, you're good. Obviously, your loved ones, they may be hurting, but you can't worry about that. You're not on this earth no more. Your soul's no longer here. Your soul's been taken. But if you're here and you lose a loved one now, see, that hurts you. That burden hurts you. That's a test from Allah. That's a trial from Allah. So that's one thing, you know, people may get fearful about. But like,
It's also kind of like foolish. You spend your whole life running away from something that's eventually going to catch you. And
well,
you're afraid of it.
Allah says, if you guys are the truth tellers, then return your soul back to your body after death.
Yeah.
Why has nobody came back from the dead? Everybody want to talk about being able to survive or being able to have this longevity in life, living longer or whatever. But why has nobody returned their soul back to their body?
Yeah, you truly have no control over when you're gonna die. You can't give me a date. Nobody knows.
Nobody. It's just gonna happen when it happens. Random time.
Like you also got to remember, like especially like in situations like where people have near life or death experience, if they survive, they're like, yeah, I survived, or they saved my life. But they never want to thank Allah. They're forgetful of Allah in those.
A lot of times when people go through near death experiences, it turns them to God. They always think about
that
God.
too at the same time. But then there's also those other people that they just take God completely out of it. Yeah, I survived. I saved myself.
Yeah,
He saved my life. She saved my life.
it's
It was
really
all
foolish
because of them.
Because you really have no control over when you're gonna die.
Speaking of that, so I know you play football, right, Aiden? Okay. Have you ever gone into a game, like before pre-game or whatever, and you're saying, oh, I'm playing this game for so-and-so?
Well, yeah, like my freshman year, I was freshman year, I first started playing football, and it was like towards the end of the season, and it was like the end of freshman season, and I got pulled up to play like some varsity. I didn't really play because I'm still a freshman, but
Yeah.
I came home from practice, and my mom was like, oh, we have to go back up north. Like so I had to drive back to Connecticut, because my great aunt wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
The short version, she ended up dying when we got back. Like she was like kind of okay when we were up there, but we all had to come back. My mom had work and everything, so we was only up there for like a week maybe. I had to come back down, found out she died, and at that moment it was just like, wow. Like everything just hit me at once. But I was like, okay, well, I feel like I didn't really tell a lot of people, only like some of my close friends on the team, and they're like, okay. And then somebody ended up telling the coach, because the coach was wondering why I was missing practice, why I missed so much practice and stuff. And then everyone was like, okay. And then we ended up winning that game that week. But yeah, we all did. They was like, okay, we're gonna play for her, and then we ended up winning.
Okay, so you were telling me something before we started this episode about situations like that, where you say you're doing something, or you're living for someone, or you're like you do stuff for other people, or for the sake of other people.
Yeah.
So what were you saying?
I mean, doing things for the sake of other people. I mean, it's always gonna be, temporary, or it's gonna disappoint you in a way. Mm-hmm. Like when you do things for other people, like your whole entire life, like your life is gonna be depressing. You're not gonna get what you expect. Like let's say you do something nice for someone and you expect something in return. They don't give it to you, or they backstab you. How are you gonna feel then? Versus when you do something for the sake of Allah, you expect nothing in return from that person, and on top of that, you're happy with what you did for them because you know you did it for the sake of Allah, and Allah is pleased with you.
So the thing is, I've been in the similar situation where, like, if I had a loved one die, or I had something happen to a family member, a close friend, and then I go into a football game because, you know, football at the time was all I liked. So I would say, oh yeah, nah, I have them in mind, or I'm doing this for them. The thing with that is, it's like, it takes the enjoyment out of stuff, because it's like, if you don't succeed, now you feel like you're a failure.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it took the enjoyment out of football. Like, it just stopped being fun, because I was like, okay, why am I doing this for them? They're not even here. Like, they're not watching me. They can't see how I did. They can't know how I did, nothing like that. So I was like, oh man, it sucks. Like, doing stuff for other people. And I never realized how much, like, doing stuff for the sake of Allah, like doing stuff for the sake of my Lord, benefited me. When I say I'm doing everything for the sake of God, and when I say everything, I mean everything. When I say I wake up and I say it's for the sake of Allah, and when I say if I'm going to do well on a test, it's for the sake of Allah. I do every single little thing I do is for the sake of Allah. Everything good. It's literally in the tashahhud that we do when we pray. It's tahiyatu lillah wa salawat wa tayyibat. All greetings of humilities to Allah. In your prayer and goodness. All the goodness that we do is for Allah. We do it in humility and we pray to Allah. When you do everything for the sake of Allah, it can only benefit you. Because even if it's something that befalls you, like a hardship, that comes from Allah. That's a trial from Allah. That's gonna help you. But see, when we're looking at doing stuff for the sake of other people, or you say I'm gonna do something for someone else, it's gonna only avail you for a short amount of time.
And the thing is, right, I hear a lot of people talk about, yeah, I live or I do this for my family, or I do it for my friends, or I do it for the cars, or I do it for the house, or whatever the case may be. Other than Allah, they do it for all these other things. If that was the case, why are we not living on this earth forever? If we are living for our families, or if we're living for the money, if we're living for these types of things, why aren't we there with the money forever, or with our families forever, if this was what we are truly on this earth for?
Like, we got a mission. Like, you know you have a mission because there's a start to the mission, there's an end to the mission. There's birth and there's death.
And then the other...
And hold on, look. At the start of the mission, you have value. You have ultimate potential. When you look at a baby, you see potential. They have eyes, they have ears. These are things that are valuable. If I told you to sell your ears, you would give me 10 billion. You wouldn't even give me a number because they're too much value. And then at the end of your mission, you've either decreased in value or you've increased in value. And that's just the reality of it.
You could really, it's like, the way I think of it is kind of like you have a path. It's not really like, I don't know how to word it. Like, some people say you pave your own path. Some people say that there's a path that is for you, and you just got to find the right path that's meant for you to succeed in life and to go where you have to go in life until it's that time to reach the end of your journey here.
Yeah, the DEENTOUR, of course. You know, it's the right way that you want to take. But look, you ever like me, I hear a lot of people say this. It's like they say so-and-so, they went before their time, or they were too young to die. Things like this, or death came to them before their time. Like, what is this supposed to mean? Like, does death have a certain age? Does death have a time, or does death have a limit to anybody?
It's actually crazy. We said that once before, remember? Like a long time ago.
Yeah.
This is before we were thinking like this. This is before we were knowledgeable like this. We had a friend who lost their life at a very young age, and we were like, that's so crazy. They died so young. Like, we never said they went before their time, but we were like, it was just like, it was unfathomable how young like some people could go, especially when you know them or you're close to them. But then when you realize that the plan of Allah is greater than any plan that there is, you know. إِنَّهُمْ يَكِيدُونَ كَيْدًا وَأَكِيدُ كَيْدًا. Indeed, mankind will plan, but Allah is planning, and Allah is the best of planners. Whatever you plan, Allah has a plan. It doesn't matter. Your plan, if your plan is not going according to Allah's plan, it's insignificant. There's nothing to it. There's nothing for it. It's not going to avail you in any way. The only thing that can avail you is through the path of Allah. And me realizing that, you know, me coming to peace with the fact that I could die at any moment, me coming to peace with the fact that, like, I could die on sin, you know, that's changed the way I think about every single day. Bro, when I get in the car, you know, I say a dua, I say a supplication to Allah to, you know, protect me while I'm driving. Just because I know I don't want to die this way. And even if I don't have to say, I'm still going to say it just because I need that protection. You always need that protection from Allah. Don't think that you could be too big to say a dua at any time. And the fact that, you know, any single time before I go to sleep, I say that if Allah wants to take my soul while I'm asleep, then forgive it. Because you have to, these small details, these small little things that you can do that can, you know, help you reach paradise.
Earn Allah's mercy.
Yeah.
You live every day like it's your last. You pray every prayer like it's your last, and then you wake up the next day. You thank God for giving you another day to pray, and then you pray every prayer like it's your last.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. When I'm praying, sometimes I might have a thought like, okay, so let's say let's say I'm praying and I feel like I'm not as focused as I should be. I'll start thinking, dude, this could be your last prayer, bro. You gotta tighten up. And then right at that moment, I'll tighten up and I'll start praying like it's literally my last prayer. Like there's nothing else that I could do better than this right now.
Imagine you're praying, and you just imagine like Allah's in front of you, angel of death is behind you, the hellfire is to your left, and paradise is to your right. And where did you go closer to? Did you go closer to Allah in paradise, or did you go closer to the hellfire in your prayer? And this right here, helps me concentrate in the prayer too. Just knowing, and on top of that, Allah deserves, my full concentration. Like when let's say somebody older than me or somebody that I respect is speaking to me, I'm gonna look at them with full attention, and I'm gonna look at them in the eyes and things like this. So how are we supposed to look in front of Allah? The one that created us, the one that created the heavens and the earth, the one that we're supposed to pray to and have full submission to.
Like he gave you eyes, he gave you ears, he gave you your mouth, your nose, he gave you everything, he gave you your arms, your legs. These are all things that are invaluable. Think about that. He gave you the materials, he gave you everything that you needed to succeed in this world, to complete your mission, and then die.
And what do you see people's biggest problem is? They take everything for granted. You know why? Because everything is accessible to them right then and there. Like let's say their parents, for example. People grow up with their parents their whole life. They abuse their parents. They don't listen to their parents. But when their parents go, now all of a sudden things are even more harder for them because their parents were always accessible or whatever it may be. Their house, their cars, their money. Once these things are gone, what will they do then? Who will they turn to then?
It's that lack of consciousness. That's what I was just about to bring up for Aiden, because he may be non-Muslim. He may take beliefs from certain areas. But it's like this conversation here is for like the fact that we're bringing to you that we have this type of consciousness, this type of like we have a vision, we have tunnel vision when it comes to something like this. There's always something bigger at hand when we think about something like this. Like death is the smallest part of it, but it's like what comes after death and what leads up to death. What are you doing when at the time that you die? That is like that we're fearful of. Like, did you die on sin? Because if you die on sin, that tells you how you live, even if you're the most righteous person to ever live. But what Osman was just saying is like a lot of people lack this consciousness because they have stuff that's accessible to them. They never truly think about death, and they think about way too much about what they have here, what they have to lose right here. People think about, if they lose a job, then their life is over. If they lose some money, their life is over. If they can't afford this, their life is over.
You know what death is? Death is the end to all pleasures of this
Destroyer
world.
The destroyer of desires. That's what we always used to call it.
And how many of us are controlled by our desires? How many of us? Like, what do you go through on a daily basis that you desire, but you feel like you can't go without it, even if it's good for you or bad for you? If you do it and it's not something that's obligatory, then it's a desire.
If you lived your life letting your desire control you, then death destroyed you the moment it touched you. And every soul tastes death. But if you lived your life and you were able to control your desires, then your death only destroyed your desires. It didn't destroy you. Jannah is waiting for you. Mm-hmm. But when you get destroyed along with your desires,
look, listen, I know you guys hear me say this in almost every episode, and I will continue to say it until I die. Have you not seen the people that are disciplined the most as the most free? The ones who are not giving in to their desires all the time. These people are the most free. And you guys might think the opposite. Giving into my desires all the time makes me more free all of a sudden. Oh, they look at you as a Muslim. Oh yeah, you live your life so worried about death and meeting with God. You don't even know if he exists, yada, yada, yada. Just live your life a little bit and, just have fun. They let their desires control them.
Yeah, exactly. You're living to die.
They talk about this is my freedom, but no, the desires are controlling you and you are not conscious of it.
Like, bro, you're living to die. I'm living in preparation for my death, for what comes after. Who is living a better life? Who is accomplishing more things? I'm accomplishing more things. I control myself. You don't control yourself.
You let your desires control you. Look, for those people who don't believe in a life after death, what I tell you right now is that, like, I don't mean to be harsh or nothing, but if you believe that because you're someone who says, if I haven't seen it, I don't believe it, then what is your true purpose of living? What is your true purpose of life if you don't believe there's nothing coming? Because you know you can't escape it. You know you can't survive. You know you can't freeze your body like a cartoon and try to get revived 1,000 years later. Like, that's not going to work. So what do you do?
Okay, but I mean, we'll use the Quran here. You know, if they don't believe in life after death, then, you know, do they not remember that they were created before when they were nothing? You know, how did they get here? They explain this, you know, your soul, your personality, you know, the things that you have. Explain this. And also, and on top of that, at the time of your death, like how you said in the verse in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, I forgot which verse number it was, but return the soul back into your body at the time of your death. If you know, if you have some power over your death, you know, things like this are just things to think about. Or, you know, if you're really that truthful, live forever. These types of things.
Yeah, the graveyard is full of people who thought they would live forever. Graveyard is full of people who thought they had more time. The graveyard is full of people.
The phrase "buy me more time" doesn't work.
Look, immortality is the killer of your morality. You want to know why? You can see it in movies. Because if you want to live forever, you would sacrifice, like if you could live forever, you would sacrifice literally everything to do so. Because people, they don't want to die. They don't want to have to taste death. They don't want to have to like figure out what's next. Even if they don't believe nothing's next, they don't want to take the chance. So if they could live here because they have some security here, you know, they have a life here, they have a home, they have a family, they have contingencies for like if they were to be able to stay here for the rest of their lives. If they could stay here forever, they would. They'd give up whatever they could. They would sell their soul. They would sell their families. They would sell whatever they could.
A good example of that is, you know, back when I used to watch Naruto, you know, there was this character, Orochimaru. You know, he really tried to be immoral, and he would cause chaos everywhere. You know, he destroyed a whole village. He killed his own teacher. He killed his classmates. He killed, you know, all these people just for, you know, he froze bodies. He did all that it took just to be immortal. And that's a perfect example of what you just said. You know, these movies, these TV shows will show you that when people try to live forever, it destroys them completely. They'll do anything, you know, they'll do whatever it takes.
People try to live forever. It's pretty foolish. Like, you got to be pretty stupid to think you're going to live forever.
That's not thinking about it, but if they could, they would. Trust me. Now, we made this episode as a reminder, right? We made this episode as a reminder that death could touch you at any minute. And you need to start asking yourself, what do you do on a daily basis that could be questionable at the time of your death? Because if you do something that you know would be like horrific for you, if you were to die in that state, then you need to stop doing it. You need to cease to do that. You need to get out of that habit. If you're someone who engages in zina, or who watches pornography, or who drinks, or who smokes, and you know that's against Islam, especially for us who are Muslim, and you do that and you were to die in that state, how do you think you would feel being resurrected on the Day of Judgment? How do you think you would feel when you were questioned in the grave? Dying on sin, that tells you how you live. That tells you what's in your heart. You know, nobody can say anything, but there's questions there that arise. Even for someone who's like, oh no, that person, they were such a good person, but no, they died doing this. And it's a reminder for you to like start looking at what you do on a daily basis and start thinking like, if you fear death, then you need to stop fearing death because you can't escape it. You need to make peace with it. You need to stop living for what's in this world and start living for what's to come, the reward that you can find afterward. And if you don't believe that there's a reward, then start believing there's a reward.
And honestly, it's endless motivation. I do things because I know I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna have a chance. I might not have a chance tomorrow. I have to do this,
bro. Like you said, imagine how depressing that ideology is. Imagine the people that live here; they live terrible lives, or people that are in jail forever. You really want to tell them that there is no hope? There is no hope for them. You know, once they wasted their whole entire life here, and at the same time, there is no life for them in the afterlife, and they couldn't control that. Like, let's say they went to jail very young, they were manipulated by society, and now on top of that, there's nothing to come for them after that. They got one shot at this life, and there's nothing for them. There's nothing that they can do about it.
All right, look.
Like, just imagine those people that are locked up in prison right now, but yet they are Muslims, and they'll die as believers, and then once they're resurrected, they're gonna have endless paradise, and their whole time in that jail cell or whatever it may be on this earth, they won't even remember it. Like, it's gonna be destroyed.
All right, look, Aiden. What is your thought process on a daily basis, knowing that you could die at any minute?
Honestly, it's just like, it's inevitable. I don't know if I used the word in the right way. I'm gonna be honest, but it's like trying to escape it. Like, people who try to escape death, it's just no point. because like you guys said, it's gonna happen regardless. At the end of the day, at the end of whenever, eventually you are gonna die. There's people that live to what, 100, over 100, and even then they don't. Eventually they realize there's no point. Like, think about it. Think about this. You live to you're like 100, like over 100, like we'll say 105, right? Say you're 105 years old. You can barely do anything for yourself. You're not gonna want to just sit there in the same way you are the rest and
For eternity.
for an eternity, being able to sitting in that bed, not being able to move for yourself, not being able to do anything for yourself. You're eventually gonna want just for it to be over and for your life to move on.
Yo, subhanAllah, he just gave me like an epitome or epiphany. I'm tripping. Bro, that was like a euphoria moment. Because he said you don't want to be living where you can't do anything for yourself. And what do we believe in the life after death? If you're rewarded, you're going to be at the height of your youth. You're going to be in the most peak physical condition. You're going to be like in the best state of a human that could possibly be, the most perfect form of a human being in the life after death. But you see, if you're out here trying to trace immortality, like avoiding death or whatever, then what happens then? When you get too old, you can't do anything for yourself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he creates a baby that can't move for himself or do anything for himself. And then by the time you're too old, you can't do anything for yourself. You can't move for yourself. He takes a baby, makes it old, and brings it back to the state of a baby. You're basically a baby by the time you're in old age.
You can't do anything for yourself, and you can't eat yourself. You might be able to, but it's not going to be very easy. You're not going to be able to use the bathroom by yourself. You're going to need somebody there to help you the whole time as if you were a kid, like a baby, just like you said.
Everything you said is just facts.
Yeah, it's like you're a kid. You can't do anything for yourself. You grow old. You grow strong. You grow competent. You go being able to do things, and then you go back to not being able to do anything for yourself.
Right back
when
to
man
the baby
when man is at
stage.
his peak, at his strongest, he forgets who created him in the first place. He forgets where he was before. He forgets he was just a little tiny baby in a cradle. He forgets he was sperm. You came out of a ball sack.
You know why? Because the thought of death, like when you stop thinking about it, you start thinking the stuff you've done is you did it, not Allah brought it upon you. You start thinking, oh, okay, let's say I make it to the NFL, right? And I start thinking, I made it to the NFL. This was me. This was all me. Nobody else, just me. This is not me saying, oh, thank Allah. You know, Allah brought this upon me. Allah gave me these abilities to play football or whatever. You know, people stop thinking about that. They stop thinking about who created them, who brought them here, who could take their life away, who could take everything away in an instant. Just like that. You stop thinking about that because you stop like remembering Allah. So you want to stop remembering Allah, Allah will humble you. You lose that humbleness. You lose that consciousness.
Just in a way, if you really think about it, just as fast as you can get something and get somewhere in life is just as fast as you can lose it. You could grind and work your butt off your whole life to make it, like you said, to the NFL. And then just like that, one game, it could be your first game of the season, you get humbled real quick and you can't play anymore. Like, I saw something, there was one player, he was a running back. I think it was Todd Gurley or something. He played football. He played for like a year, like I think it was his first year, maybe two. He set a record. Next thing you know, leg injury. Ended his whole season. Like it took him a while to get back to be able to play, and he didn't even want to play anymore. Yeah, now he just owns a team for like a minor league team. Like just as fast as you can get something, just like that, you'll lose everything.
People lose that consciousness, you know, they lose that humbleness and losing that, like, the thought that, you know, Allah gave them this, not them.
It's really crazy. It takes you a couple hours to be born. It takes you a second to die.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it. You know, you live your whole entire life, you know, working, grinding, you know, pleasing other people, you know, trying to build the biggest house, trying to have the most cars, whatever it may be, chasing after all these materialistic things just to end up dying. Like...
And then once you die...
And on top of that, you prioritize those things before your death. You prioritize those things before Allah. Now look what happens to you.
Like, you're grinding for that house. You don't even know if you're going to get the house. You're preparing for that house. You don't even know if you're going to get the house. But you know death's going to come to you.
Usman, you said you had a question for us.
About what? Yeah. What's the point of grinding, working hard, if you're just going to die one day?
Because we work for the hereafter.
Now, see, look, he wanted a better answer than that. Obviously, the simple answer is like, yeah, we want to work towards what's in the hereafter because we believe, like, in the hereafter there's paradise. Mm-hmm. You know, we can gain that level of reward. You know, the greatest reward. The reason why Allah created us and He asked us if we wanted to go in this world, and we said yes in an instant, just like that, because we saw what we could get, right? But the reason we work so hard. Now, see, what type of work do you mean? Do you mean prostrating to Allah, or do you mean working to be rich? Or
working to be rich.
Why do people work to be rich?
Working to sustain, yeah.
I think people just want that level of like financial like security. They want that like that thought that, oh yeah, money can buy happiness, or the fact that if they have stuff like that, then they're at like a point. They're, even if you're not fully happy, you're at a point where you can't go below that. Even though you can, but people who are on the outside looking in, they believe that, oh, if I have this stuff, if I have what this person has or whatever, then they'll have a sense of security. Like, okay, I'm in a good spot.
But there's also another side to that. But it's like everyone's thought process is different though. Cause some people, like they grow up, they don't have anything. They grow up, mom's struggling, mom's by herself, struggling to be able to get bills, struggling to be able to get you guys food, everything, right? So then they see how she is and how she lives right then and there. As a kid, you start thinking like, wow, I need to start working. I need to make money. I need to be able to get my mom out of a situation where she doesn't have to pay no more bills. I could pay her bills. I could help I want to be able to get to the point where my mom has a house, she has no car payments, and then think of once that's all settled, that's when you get yourself in the position that you need to get in. And then from there you start your family. Eventually you're gonna end up dying anyways. But it's just to the point where if you think about it, some people's thought process is, hey, I want to be able to get my mom what she needs to get done, get my family straight, so that when I end up dying, at least my family has money. And then it may not be a lot of money, but then at least my kids could at least see that how I worked my butt off my whole life to be able to get to where I am. And then maybe they'll come up with their own hustle and grind and be able to keep moving.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like working out of struggle. Like working to get out of struggle.
I think me and Osman actually had a talk about this a while ago. It was like, if you were rich, say we all had money, right? We have kids. How much money would you give your kids when they turn 18? Did we talk about that?
Yeah. I remember at the time, I said, man, I'm not giving my kids nothing. I was like, I'm donating all my money to the poor. But I mean, of course, that's changed, with the Islamic ruling and stuff like that. I'm going to leave behind money for my children, my family members. And on top of that, yes, inshallah, to donate money to the poor after I'm dead and while I'm living.
Yeah, like think about it. If you were a millionaire, right? How much money would you leave your kids to be able to get to the point in their life where they could start their own business, do what they have to do to make it past, maybe even surpass where you were, maybe make it to the same level you were. And they could see how you worked hard your whole life, and they can maybe pass that on to their kids and then keep it going.
When I originally asked y'all the question, this was the answer I was really looking for. I was like, dude, we're not just gonna die anyway. Dude, we're not gonna. I don't even think a Muslim in real. If you really think about it logically, we don't even die. We just wake up in the grave, munkar and nakir, answer the questions, boom, paradise.
Well, I mean,
boom, hellfire.
What she said. We taste death. We don't. We don't sit there in death. We're not just dead forever. We die for a second, and the next thing you know, we're in the next world.
We're like when we're working here, our work is beneficial. Our work can be seen as act of worship to God. Our work,
especially like what he said, taking care of your mother, taking care of your kids. That is acts of worship to Allah, and Allah loves to see that. Of course, when you're doing it for His sake.
Obviously, even if you look at it logically, it's better than the person who's lazy, who's not taking care of his mother.
Look,
who thinks that he needs to increase desire for himself.
Yeah,
I need to be the one that's happy. I need to always be the one that's happy
because I'm gonna die soon.
Yeah,
exactly.
The only harm that comes with believing in the hereafter is the fact that you could be on the wrong side of that. You could go to the hellfire. But when you believe in the hereafter and you believe in the reward that comes with it, and you know that you're trying to chase to do good and your heart is in a good place, like you're trying to do your best, then what bad can befall you on that? Even if you go through something hard, you understand what's going on here. You understand, okay, Allah is putting me through this. You understand that, okay, if I die now, then I'm dying at a point where hopefully Allah is satisfied with me. Because as a Muslim, if we die as a Muslim, we died in a state where Allah said, okay, they would be Muslim if they were to live for eternity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So if I die, we need to be in a point where I say, okay, shoot, if I die right here, then inshallah, I die in a way that Allah is satisfied with me. He has forgiven my sins, and now He is satisfied enough with me to go to the hereafter and earn the reward of paradise.
That also means if you haven't died yet, there's still like you think about it like this. You still have all the time in the world. If you haven't died yet, you still have all the time in the world.
Yeah, you have all the time in the world to get right, but you also have all the time in the world to fall off. So you have to be steadfast.
It's a constant battle.
Yeah, it's a constant battle every single day.
Death is just the end to like that constant
Yeah,
battle.
it's like this whole episode was just a reminder for people to start pondering, people start reflecting on their actions, you know, reflecting on what could happen day in and day out. You know, what you do on a daily basis and how that could reflect you on like the day that you die, reflect on you inside the grave. You know, the sins that you commit, you know, there are sins that you commit here that you will be punished for in the grave, not just in the hellfire. So you need to start being knowledgeable about that. You need to start pondering about that. You need to start being conscious of that. The fact that, you know, Allah is watching you. Everybody has a set date of death. Even the moon and the sun, they have a set date for the time that they will
Even
cease
the universe will die.
Yeah, there's like, it will come a time where Allah will crush the universe up into like a ball, and He will crush it in His hand. It says this in the Quran. Same thing. It says that the sun and the moon, they are in their own orbit, swimming, but until a fixed point in time. Only Allah knows this. And you think us as humans, we're any different? Such a small creation.
We're so small compared to like
a small creation.
How many Earths fit into the sun? Like 1 point something billion or trillion, I think it was. And on top of that, on top of the sun, you know, you got all those other planets. You got the universe and then other galaxies and whatever
Still expanding,
it may be. Like
it's way too much.
And the other heavens on top of that, we're just here in the first heaven. Imagine.
All right, we're off topic. Death, destroy our desires. That's it. Sorry to say. End it off.
Dude, who are you, bro?
Yeah, for real. Who does this guy think he is? Take off that hoodie. They're trash anyway. All right. But anyway, yeah, this episode, you know, it was an episode that like it took a little while for us to actually get through to, because we wanted to do it in a way that we'd be able to remind you, but at the same time not to try to scare you. We're not trying to scare nobody, because everybody needs to like make peace with this fact. You know, disconnect yourself from the desires of this world. Like stop thinking about what's in this world and start thinking what's after. Start thinking about more. Start thinking about something bigger than yourself, bigger than what you just want, right? And yeah, it's been
Hold on, let me say one more thing.
Go ahead, brother.
To me, what I've realized is everyone's gonna make a mistake in their life. It's just and you may feel like you hit a mistake and you hit rock bottom, but how you gonna come back from that? Are you gonna keep working, or are you just gonna quit right then and there, and not continue to think about this? You do something, you mess up, and you're at rock bottom. How are you gonna bounce back from that and keep moving and just think about how everything's gonna end. If you really think about it, you can keep moving, and you can, like you guys been saying, you can go to how you guys believe the paradise and everything, or you gonna
be depressed and be a loser and go worse from there. You know, it's only worse from there for them.
Continue to turn away when things get hard. Are you going to continue to turn away, or are you going to turn back?
It's like if I'm gonna fail one time, but I'm still alive, I'm not gonna die a failure. I'm gonna die successful. I'm gonna keep trying.
I mean, the worst part about it is it gets worse and worse for them. Like, you know, they hit rock bottom, and then from rock bottom, there's more. There's more to it.
Way below rock bottom, or you can go above.
Yeah.
You can work your way back up to and start.
There's things to think about.
All right, but that's gonna conclude today's episode. You know, may Allah guide you to Islam. May Allah guide me. May Allah guide us. May Allah guide all of us. May Allah guide all the viewers. You know, to remind you guys, we're not scholars. We're just students of knowledge. We speak from experience. We're open from correction. Not only do we speak from experience, we speak from the knowledge that we already know. And yeah, with that being said, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
You guys go ahead.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Go ahead.
What?
You know how to
I don't know how to end it, bro.
say salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
All right.
MashaAllah.
You know, appreciate y'all for taking this Deen tour with us, man. That concludes this episode. You know, salam alaikum wa rahmatullah.